Friday night out in Sheffield, I could read St. Tripotty. And Sheffield United come thrill me again.
Hope you like the intro. But anyway, hello. This is my first Football Manager video, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of information about myself. I'm 21 years old. My name is Sam, if you haven't worked that out already. I support Liverpool, but ultimately I'm a massive fan of Football Manager. I've been playing it since 2005. That was mainly the handheld version then, when I was about 9 years old, and then I think 2009 was my first the desktop game, and I haven't looked back since then. So I thought now is a good time to start recording videos. Football Manager 2018 is out, or the beta at least, so I think it's a good place to start, and hopefully you'll enjoy this as much as I enjoy creating the videos. So anyway, why Sheffield United? I'm not a fan of them, although I do like them as a club. I've sort of followed them a bit. I've had friends in the past who supported Sheffield United, and obviously they're a massive club. They were formed in 1889, I think, so they're one of the oldest English clubs, and they sort of fallen from grace in the last sort of, well, at least 10, 20 years. They were in the Premier League about 10 years ago, I think, with sort of Phil Jagielka and someone, Craig Morgan, I think they had, so captain maybe at that time. But anyway, they were in League One. They've just got up to the Championship this season, and they're doing incredibly. They're doing really well. I'm really sort of excited by them, and Chris Wilder's doing a fantastic job. So I thought, why not? Why not try and replicate that myself in Football Manager? So anyway, let's get onto the squad. Let's get onto the team and see what we have. Okay, firstly, you might notice here that I'm currently first in the Sky Bet Championship. So I basically had a little bit of a mishap there. I recorded this whole video and commentated over a game, but it was without audio. That's sort of a classic thing that video makers have probably come across before. It's a bit annoying, but anyway, we'll get on to this, and then I'll go over the game after I've gone through the things that I went through before, like the squad and the tactics and the transfers and stuff. So hopefully that won't affect the experience that much, but I'm sorry about that. There's not much I can do. So we'll just have to get through this episode. But anyway, in terms of the squad, I think it is a really well-rounded squad. If we look at sort of a few of the key players, you got Richard Stearman, who's the vice captain, I think. Really solid player. You probably would have heard of him if you've managed in the Championship before. They signed him this season, but obviously he's played for big clubs in the past, Fulham, Wolves and Ipswich. Attribute-wise, very solid player. He's probably going to be the stopper type player in my centre of defence, and probably the only defender that's going to be playing pretty much every game he can. Moving on, we've got John Fleck, you might have heard of before as well. He's a very good playmaking sort of central midfielder. He was actually incredibly good, I think, on the game in about 2010, 2011, 2009 when he was at Rangers. He was very good potential. He hasn't quite hit the heights, but hopefully I can get him into the Premier League. He is a good player. 14s, 15s, you can see dotted around everywhere. Not amazing defensively, and obviously he's not that tall, but I think he could be a key sort of creative player in there for us. And then otherwise we got Billy Sharp, who's the captain. Very good striker for the Championship. Again, he was very good on the game, I think, when he was at Sheffield before, and perhaps at Doncaster as well. He had a good record there, and he hasn't quite hit the Premier League yet. So hopefully I can get him there, because I think he's a great guy in real life. I have tons of respect for him, so I'm looking forward to using him on the game. And I think he's a good Championship striker, so hopefully he can guide us to the title. Another player you might have heard of is Ched Evans, possibly for the wrong reason, but he is a good player as well. Like Billy Sharp, he's an advanced forward, sort of good attributes for the Championship. He hasn't played in the Premiership yet, but hopefully we can get him in the Premier League, and he'll probably be playing most of the time alongside Billy Sharp, but we do have good depth in the squad, really. There's a couple of good strikers, Donaldson, Lavery, and we've also got David Brooks in advanced playmaker role. probably one of the best young players in the Championship. Already 3.5 star current ability, potential ability. Don't know what that is, but presumably he can be a very good player in the Premiership, Premier League. Attribute-wise, very good in the right places. Decent determination. Not exactly amazing positioning and teamwork, but that's something that advanced playmakers sometimes lack anyway. So that's not too much of a problem. So hopefully we can develop him into a great player. That's one of the sort of reasons why I've started this save, just because I know he's such a good young player. Otherwise, young players in the under-23s, we've got, I think, one or two good young players. Regan Slater, he looks quite good. Advanced playmaker as well, so he probably won't get many games, but he might come on in a cup game. Out on loan, Lewis Reed. He actually started off the game as 4-star potential. Now he's gone down to 3.5. I think I might have been a bit unlucky with the good old minus. I don't know which potential he had on him, -8 or -7 maybe. I think I got a bit unlucky with what his potential was because it's 3.5. I've seen on someone else's game he had 5-star potential, so that's a bit unfortunate. But oh well, he could still turn into a good player for us, so it'll be interesting to see how he works. Looking at the dynamics, I've already sort of had a bit of a play around with the dynamics in other saves, so I'm familiar with it. If you're not, there's a sort of hierarchy thing here. You can see the captain there, Billy Sharp, and then behind him is the vice captain and Chris Basham, a centre back who's quite solid, and he might get quite a few games. So hopefully that'll be easy enough to control the squad. New players coming in, obviously not quite as high up in the hierarchy. You might see there Isaac Caden we brought in, which we'll move on to in a bit, is a influential player apparently. Social groups, I quite like this, that there's only 2 social groups. I think that makes it a bit more solid. There's no sort of 3 players dotted around from random countries that are in another social group. There's just 2 solid ones and then another one. I think that's mainly because they don't really have any foreign players at the club. I think only Carter Vickers, who's actually in this thing, is from outside of the UK. Actually, in fact, there is also Clayton Donaldson, but he's been around for so long. He has been around for so long, he should be able to adapt in. He's been in the English divisions all of his career, actually. So, yeah, that should be fine. Now, looking at transfers, as I touched on earlier, we've got Isaac Hayden brought in. You probably will have noticed 4.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. Don't really need to say much more about him. He's a very, very solid defensive midfielder. We've already got a decent ball-winning player, but not someone with 13 marking and 14 tackling. I think he'll be really useful. I don't really know why Newcastle are letting him go out on loan, but anyway, we brought him in for I think just over £1 million on loan for the season. I think he'll be a fantastic player for us. He's English, he should settle in well, and he's got Championship experience last year. And I don't know if that was in the Premier League or Championship with Hull, but he's got a bit of experience there at a sort of similar type of standard team to probably Newcastle. So yeah, I'm really excited to use him and I'm pleased we got him in. I don't know if we'll be able to sign him at the end of the season, but we'll wait and see on that. In terms of the outgoings, we've got Leon Clark gone out on loan. He's a decent player, he's a target man, but really I just thought we had too many players in the striker role, even with the formation we're going to be playing. So I thought I'd let him go out on loan, 5k a week. I don't think they're paying that, but I think they will buy him if he ends up playing 20 games. So hopefully he should play those games and he'll be gone. I know in real life he's actually scored a hat-trick recently, but anyway, we let him go. In terms of other players we're trying to sell, Jake Bennett is on the transfer list. He's got decent potential, but I don't really see him making a name for us, even especially as we're not going to play a wide formation. James Hansen, you probably would have heard of him from his Bradford days. A very tricky player for Premier League clubs to deal with, but I think now he's sort of been worked out. Um, he's just a massive man. You lump it up top for him. He could be a decent plan B, actually. He's got good teamwork and work rate. So if we don't sell him, he might feature a bit, but we are sort of looking to let him go. Otherwise, Jake Wright potentially could be let go. We might actually not let him go. We tried to get rid of him, but he's not budging, which, to be fair, attribute-wise, he looks quite solid. And he's left footer, so that's not too bad. So we might actually bring him back into the first team. Transfer-wise, there's not much else going on apart from we're trying to bring this guy in, Ezri Konsa. You might have heard of him from Charlton. He looks pretty good attribute-wise. Obviously, 19 years old, there's a lot of room to improve. And 81 scout report, I do like the way that it gives sort of rating out of 100 for the scout report this year. Great potential ability, and as we're going to play three at the back, he would slot in nicely. He'll probably play most of the games as we want to improve him, and he'll be a good sort of backup slash rotation option as well. So we're looking at bringing him in for a couple of million. I think we did start off with 3 million as our budget allowance. Let's go on to transfers here. So we've got that remaining. That will probably be pretty much used on Consa. As you can see there, 1.4 million rising to 3.4. That'll be pretty much used on him, but hopefully we can get one or two players out, and then the wages will look reasonably good, and we'll have a bit of room to spare there. In terms of tactics, this is what I've sort of worked out over pre-season and used in the first friendly. There's not really much team instructions there at the moment. Mentality, counter and structured. Just want to make sure it's solid at the back first before we can sort of improve from the front and maybe make it a bit more attacking. I'm just going to put the players in the positions we had them last game. Cameron Carter-Vickers, very solid. Stearman, as I mentioned before, stopper at the back. Jack O'Connell is 4-star rated, a very good centre back for the league. I think he might have been brought in this season perhaps. 23 years old. I reckon he'll be a mainstay in the team, even if we get promoted for a few years. George Baldock, very good right wing back. Danny Lafferty, very good left wing back. Although, to be fair, these two, their passing isn't amazing. 10 passing and 11 passing. So in terms of a sort of passing style, I don't think it'll be that easy to play with these two as the fullbacks in this formation or in a more narrow formation, which I'm planning to use in games we should win. So that's sort of the reason why we're doing counter and structured, so they can direct, so they can sort of just pump it up there towards the strikers. Don't really need to rely on their passing too much. Ball winning midfielder, as I mentioned, Isaac Hayden's going to come in there. Mezzala will be probably John Fleck. There might be Lundstrom when he comes back from injury. Sorry. I think he's pretty good as the Mezzala role, with Lafferty in behind him on the defensive role as well. Hopefully he can cover for Fleck's sort of a little bit of inept defending, I would say. Probably wouldn't go that far, but he's not amazing at defending, so he needs a bit of cover. Brooks, as we mentioned before, the advanced playmaker, great potential. He'll be playing pretty much every game. Billy Sharp I'm not sure about the deep lying forward role quite yet. He might be moved across to the advanced forward, and we might bring someone else in that role, or he might be on something else. Maybe we might have a target man like Donaldson playing in there. But Billy Sharp was probably going to be playing most games. If he's not in that role, he might be in the advanced forward role, where we did have Ched Evans last game. He played very well in that game, so he might have to shore up that role. He might have to think about changing Billy Sharp's role. But anyway, I think this worked quite well last game. Direct style. We'll get into the game in a minute and how that worked, really, with just the ball being pumped forward to the strikers. Brooks having quite a lot of room there to himself to sort of find passes to them, and a very solid back three. I think worked pretty well last game, and hopefully we won't have to change it around too much. We do have this 4-4-2 diamond narrow formation where I think Lundstrom would probably come in, and he would come in this role, or maybe someone else would come in like Paul Coots, a player that I quite like as well. This would probably be pretty much what it would be like. This is just maybe a bit more possession based, a bit more control based. Although, as I mentioned, the fullbacks passing isn't great, so I don't know about the possession style of play, but it's just a bit more offensive. So we'll wait and see whether we need to use that. Right, so firstly, I'm going to have a look at the friendlies we played. Not much to say. There's not many teams in here which are particularly exciting. Aberdeen, I thought we could win. I think actually the game was a pretty poor one. 9 shots, 1 on target. They had 1 on target and they scored it classic FM style. But anyway, you can't really take too much from the friendlies, especially that game where I think both teams played pretty poorly. The rest of the games, I think we went to Spain and did pretty well out there. I think most of these are Spanish second division teams. Excelsior, obviously, they're I think top division team in Holland, so that was a pretty decent result. We conceded 2 late on, so wouldn't look into that too much anyway. The friendlies went reasonably well, not much to say about them. They don't really determine the league, so let's move on to the actual first game of the season against Brentford. Okay, well, you can probably see the final result already, 2-0, but I'm just going to sort of talk you through the goals we scored and the sort of match stats at the end as well. So, Ched Evans scored our first goal. I think this might be quite a long highlight, so I might just try and skip this along a little bit. Match speed during highlights. Yeah, so they got the ball and sort of in a counter-attacking style, I think we got it back. So there we go. We get the ball back here. Evans on his own. There's quite a lot of men around him. He did well to pick out the pass to Sharp. He doesn't want to go out wide, which is sort of fine for us. There we go. He has gone out wide now. Baldock into Hayden, Brooks forward, Sharp. Good combination for them. And there's an absolutely cracking finish from Evans from quite far out. I might show it to you in 3D at the moment. I'm not sure if it comes out too well on the video, so I'll look into that, see if we can show it to you in 3D. But for now, I'll show it to you in 2D, the goals. But this probably is a goal that should have been seen in 3D. But anyway, we'll move on to the second goal, 51 minutes in. Again, they started off the highlight with the ball, but we quickly got it back. This is sort of the way we want to be playing. We want to be countering, pretty direct. 3-4 passes, goes through to Evans, puts it home. Good finish from him. And yeah, happy days in terms of the match stats. 13 shots, 4 on target's not amazing return from those 13. But they only had 4 shots and 2 on target. I think they might have had 1 highlight in the actual game. Possession wise, very even. I think that's what it tends to be for me on Football Manager so far this year. But very happy with the result. Brentford are a decent team, a pretty good team for the Championship, so no real qualms with the result at all. You can't really have any when it's 2-0 and you get a clean sheet. In terms of passes completed, not amazing, but we are doing a more direct style of play. Clear cut chances 1. Alright, that's fine. That's about it. Okay, so that's it for the episode. The next episode will probably be at the end of the transfer window, I'd say, so after the Derby game, and then I can update you with all the results there, as well as go through the transfers. Will we, won't we get Conser? Hopefully, I'll be able to show you that we brought him in. And that's probably the way it's going to go for the rest of the series. Basically, I'm just going to do sort of 4 or 5 games in advance, and then I'll update you on them, and then I'll probably play a game. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you have any feedback at all, good or bad, it may be on the tactics, it may be just on the way I do the video. Like, I don't know, is the camera too big? Am I blocking too much of the screen, or am I spending too long on certain sections? Or basically, if there's anything I can improve, I'd love the feedback from you. And if you just wanted to say you enjoyed it, that would be great as well. So yeah, thanks for the feedback. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. If you don't bother. And yeah, that's it. Ta-ra for now.